Let's have a look at the local hospitality industry with Christopher Hewett, Senior Consultant at TRI Hospitality Consulting. Good morning to you, Christopher. Thanks for coming in.
Not a problem. Good morning.
Let's have a look at the hotel industry over the summer here. I'm always a bit confused about the summer, whether it's a dip because everyone goes away or whether it's a rise because we've got our GCC cousins flooding into the market. How do hotels fare in general in the summer period?
Well, generally, I think you've hit up on 2 points, and I think you're right on both regards. Looking at the dip, you do get a dip when it comes to international tourism. Because the heat is a distractor for people to come to the UAE, and obviously when you have summer and Ramadan occurring at the same time, you generally do get a drop in occupancy levels. However, in the summer you tend to also get a drop in rates as hotels try and maintain their demand levels and the occupancy levels during that time. So you also get a new level of tourists coming through who are more price sensitive and are more likely to stay in Dubai because the prices are a bit more affordable.
Particularly, I imagine, from other Gulf countries where heat doesn't become an issue.
Yeah, well, you would have noticed just before Ramadan started that there was a huge influx of nationals from throughout the GCC, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and Qatar, and they generally come here because it is cooler and there's more leisure activities for them to participate in rather than within their own particular countries.
What about the business leisure mix during the summer months?
Well, looking at the business mix, in the UAE, sort of the business activity somewhat quietens down, especially during Ramadan, and it sort of results in lower activity within the corporate segment. It's also linked to the summer holidays that a lot of European countries have with school holidays. So in general, it is a lower period of corporate demand during this period of time.
Mm-hmm. Now, your chain hotels market review from November, it's showing two different stories when it comes to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. Just talk us through what the differences are at the moment, especially with so much stock coming on for Abu Dhabi.
Well, the good news for both markets is that during the month of May, we've seen that the profitability of the hotels has improved. You're looking around about 30% jump in profits for both markets, which is great. However, there is a bit of a polarization when it comes to the average rates. Dubai is generating a higher average rate at the moment. The rates are roughly about 4% up on this time last year, whereas Abu Dhabi is experiencing a decline of roughly around 6%. Now, and what's really concerning about Abu Dhabi is that although rates are going down, occupancy is increasing dramatically. So you're starting to see a huge polar difference when it comes to the rates and occupancy, and that's going to be something I'm sure the general managers of hotels there are going to be thinking about and watching closely.
What about the other emirates that aspire to having tourist industries?
Well, if you look at Ras Al Khaimah is generally a special interest tourism market. You get a lot of tourists coming in from Northern Europe that go there specifically for looking at the scenery, experience a bit more of the culture, and getting away from the sort of the modern tourism offering that you get in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And they normally incorporate a bit of a roadshow, so they'll go into Ras Al Khaimah, then go into Fujairah, and generally look around the whole area, go up to Oman and up into Masandam.
Fujairah is quite an interesting one in the sense that it's got a sort of not a conflict exactly, but it aspires obviously to be an oil centre at the moment because the end of the new pipeline goes over there from Abu Dhabi. So you've got all these new oil features that are being built. So when you arrive in Fujairah and you turn left to go up north up the coast, there's oil installations all the way, and the hotels are obviously a bit further out than that, and they are very beautiful, some lovely bays that they've got up there. Do you see a conflict in their industry? Is sort of the amount of oil development actually detracting from the leisure and tourism offering?
No, I think you've got two different markets that sort of help boost overall demand within the hotels. Yes, the oil industry helps maintain corporate demand during midweek, which is essential because Fujairah is quite seasonal when it comes to the hotels, where you have an influx of residents going from Dubai and Abu Dhabi up there during the weekend. And looking at this time of year, Fujairah's climate is relatively nice compared to Dubai, and you generally get a sort of 8 to 10 degree difference when it comes to the temperature. So a lot of people go there because it's cooler than what you experience in Dubai. So it is more of a complementing element. the demand midweek from oil helps maintain occupancies, especially when it comes to the peak coming in on weekends.
What about around the rest of the region? It's been a bit of a mixed fortune for the likes of Egypt. How's the performance there?
Egypt, as one would expect, is suffering, especially in Cairo. The unrest that happened in May had a big impact on occupancy levels, with occupancy down roughly about 5%. And we expect that to continue when we're looking at the June results that will come at the end of the month. Sharm el-Sheikh, on the other hand, although it's within Egypt, is still a little bit removed, and because a lot of tourists directly go into Sharm el-Sheikh, you don't see as much impact when it comes to the unrest. But I think that as Egypt is going through this current transition, the tourism industry is going to be plagued by a lot of concerns and probably a lot of people not going to Egypt.
There was a bit of a pickup though towards at the start of the year, though.
That's right. Yeah, the unrest had subsided. There was relative calm throughout the country. However, as we all know, things picked up and demonstrations throughout the country, and that has had a big impact on the tourism industry.
And what about the likes of Jeddah and Riyadh?
Riyadh is obviously the engine room of Saudi Arabia, and generates a lot of demand from corporate and government entities. However, Riyadh, like Abu Dhabi is facing a challenge of oversupply. A lot of hotels are coming into the market, and we're starting to see an impact on rates and occupancies as these new hotels lower rates to try and penetrate the market. Whereas Jeddah is doing very well, limited new supply, strong growth and strong economic activity.
Well, like anybody who's been in the Emirates for sort of 10 years or so plus, you remember that we used to be bombarded in newspapers and online with adverts for cheap weekend getaways during the summer in the UAE, and I haven't seen so many of those over the last couple of years. Have they died off a bit? Have they managed to satisfy the demand without tapping domestic?
Well, I think there's still a number of advertisements going on throughout the country, but they tend to be in hotels and within markets that face quite high seasonality. Liwa, the desert resorts, Ras Al Khaimah, those are the markets that you generally get more advertisements for hotels on these deals. Stable markets like Dubai and Abu Dhabi, you will get a few here and there depending on where the particular hotel is located. But I think, looking at the occupancy levels, particularly within Dubai, we're looking at roughly 86% occupancy year to date, which shows that the market is very strong. So a lot of the hotels don't need to go down that route because demand is sufficient.
I was actually wondering whether or not they might be doing a lot more via the group buying websites. Maybe that's why I wasn't seeing them so much.
There are a few on these group buying websites, but again, it depends on the hotel, where it's located, and how their demand becomes when it comes to seasonality.
What are you looking forward to for the rest of the year? How do you think the rest of the second half of the year is going to go?
Well, I think Dubai is going to continue to be strong. The market is very healthy, strong occupancies, strong rates, and I think that's going to continue. Abu Dhabi, I'm hoping to see a correction when it comes to the average rates. The demand is picking up. 14% increase in occupancy last month is a very positive sign, and I'm waiting to see hotels try and reverse this eroding of average rates. Looking at the rest of the region, Egypt is very difficult to tell because of the ongoing issues and the transition it's going through. And Jeddah will continue to be strong, as well as Kuwait.
One thing that's surprised me over the last year or so has been the amount of conferences and events running at the same time. In the old days, it used to be one at a time, one after the other. Now we seem to be capable of holding so many at the same time. Have you been looking at the calendar ahead for the MICE industry? Is it fully booked?
They are fully booked. You could walk into the Dubai World Trade Center and look at the convention center there, and they have a big board with all the events and conferences that they have on throughout the year. And as you said, they are jam-packed, and they have been very efficient in trying to increase the utilization of the facilities within Dubai. And I don't think there's much space that is free throughout the year.
Christopher Hewett, Senior Consultant, TRI Hospitality, thank you very much indeed for coming into the studio.
Thank you very much.